And one of the things I always say about Jesuit High School, I don't always agree with everybody's, the way they teach, the way they counsel, the way they coach. I have my own opinions, but the one thing that I have appreciated in the 39 years I've been here is that every educator in this school cares about kids. My name is Ken Potter, and I've been at Jesuit High School now for 39 years as a counselor the entire time, and also as a head football coach, assistant track coach. I was also assistant basketball coach at one time, and many other roles too. The first interview I had 16 people, which was pretty daunting. And so I had the interview there, and then I got called back and had an interview the second time with Father Hayes and Dick Gedros. And for some unexplainable reason, they hired a 27-year-old who had no head coaching experience to come be a counselor and work at Jesuit High School. So in 1987, I was hired here, and there was no counseling department. There was no counselors. That was a lot of priests on campus and brothers, and that's who the kids were supposed to go to at an all-male school if they had any problems or issues. And started the counseling department in 1987, and I've been here for 39 years. And so I've seen a counseling department go from one person and a part-time college counselor to where we are now, which is phenomenal. I think it's an outstanding counseling department, and I'm very proud to be a part of it. And I coached football for all 39 years as a head football coach here, and I'm just really lucky to have worked with phenomenal coaches all along the way, and still have coaches that came in with me. When I first got here, the four people that were hired my first year here was myself, Tim Massey, and Jeff Wood. And again, God works in mysterious ways. My brother Gene had just graduated from college and had to do his student teaching. And he graduated from Western Washington. So I asked Dick Gedros if we could have a student teacher here, and Dick said that never had happened, but you can try. And so I called up to Western Washington, and where I said God's worked in mysterious ways, I got a hold of somebody in the education department. Their person who was in charge of student teaching had just passed away the last weekend, so the person was in there, had no clue what they were doing, and we had a spot for Gene Potter, and he was like, great, done. So Gene got to come to Jesuit High School, and a Catholic school in Portland, Oregon, from Western Washington, and do student teaching in math. And when he finished his student teaching, the person that was there decided not to come back, and so then Gene was hired at Jesuit High School. So I've been able to have 39 years of coming to school every day and seeing my brother and coaching with him and being around him, and pretty special. That's been really a special part. In 1987, Jesuit was on the verge of closing. Father Hayes had been hired the year before I got here as president, and was in charge of making this place affordable and making it go forward. With that in mind, 14 teachers, I think it was 14 or 12, were riffed when I got hired. So I was very popular in the fact that 12 faculty members, friends of the other faculty, no longer had jobs. They hired a new football coach and created a new department for that football coach. So it was hard there at first, but again, being from a educational family, my dad had taught me very early that be really, really good to custodians, be really, really good to all the staff, especially those that are assistants, administrative assistants, and then make sure that you are that you go out of your way to being needed. And so I did everything I could to be positive and to be a part of the school and go on the first encounter and go to mass and do all the stuff that was very important for Jesuit High School. It was great. I had a mentor named Father Masterson, who when I was not Catholic when I got here, but I am Catholic now. But when I was first here, Father Masterson would walk around campus with me and explain different things about the Catholic Church. So I would kind of know what was going on and why we were doing things and how things worked. And I was there coaching football and working with kids. It was all boys, and I was in charge of the cafeteria during breaks and lunch and that kind of stuff, to walk around and say hi to people and just let them know that I was there as a counselor. And now the teachers had counselors that they could send the kids to, or a counselor to send the kids to when they were not being as what they would like to have them be in the classroom, so they didn't have to always send them to a priest or to somebody else. And it started that way, and it just kind of rolled from there. Then we eventually hired another counselor, then we eventually hired another, and so it just kind of went forward from there. It's been truly an honor to work at Jesuit High School. It really has. And throughout the years, with so many faculty members that were here before and are currently here, they've been a big part of my life and who I am. That's what I'm going to miss more than anything else. When I finished playing athletics in college, I was asking, remember the newspaper asked me, what are you going to miss? And I go, the camaraderie, the friendships. And when I'm asked about what I'm going to miss at Jesuit High School, the camaraderie, the friendships, the coming to school, saying hi, smiling, laughing, complaining together, having those kind of things. And to me, that's what I'll miss, the greatest part about it here. And it's been family. I've been so fortunate to have a lovely wife, Marianne, who has supported me so much, but she's also been a part of the school. In fact, she worked here for a few times. We went way early because she has her MBA, and so she'd help out with some of the different things before we got bigger and bigger. But it's family, and that's what I feel Jesuit High School is. It's a family, and sometimes it can be dysfunctional, but families are dysfunctional. And but for the most part, there's a lot of love, a lot of care for each other. When things go bad, we rally around. And that's probably the thing that I'm most proud of, is being a part of that. And through the years, history-wise, God, I've been here forever. But it's being a part of something that's much, much bigger than me, that will always be much bigger than me, but I will be able to look back upon with great memories, and then also knowing that going forward, continued greatness for our kids and the faculty will continue on, and that's what I'm just happy that that's going to happen. I did, and one of the things I always say about Jesuit High School, I don't always agree with everybody's the way they teach, the way they counsel, the way they coach. I have my own opinions, but the one thing that I have appreciated in the 39 years I've been here is that every educator in this school cares about kids. And that's all that's important. We don't have to agree on how we do that kind of stuff, but I think if you don't like kids, you shouldn't be in this profession. And one of the things I like about Jesuit High School is the faculty members that are here, they like kids and they want the best for their kids. Now, some of us get myopic and think that we're the most important thing in our class and that kind of stuff, but that's okay. I mean, you're supposed to think that way because you're teaching that to your kids and that kind of stuff. But I think that that's the one thing that I've always appreciated about Jesuit, is that the teachers in this school and the faculty, the staff, they like kids and they care about them. And we keep that going, we'll always be successful. It's a cliche, but hearing it at Jesuit High School was probably the first time I heard it. Being a servant leader is the most important. And when they talk about servant leader, they talk about Jesus Christ, and Jesus in our life and was a servant leader. And so to me, I've learned from, like I said, from the go watching that kind of stuff, that if there's paper on the ground, pick it up and throw it away. It doesn't matter if it's yours, or you dropped it, or somebody else. It doesn't really matter. If we're all on the same page, then everything gets picked up. I think on the football field from day one, I told the seniors that they were the leaders, and by leaders, then you bring the bags out to the practice, you pick them up afterwards, you take care of the locker room, you do that kind of stuff. No one does that for you. You do that because that's what a leader does. A leader doesn't ask for somebody else to do what they can do. They go out and just do it, and you don't worry about who gets. We have a sign down the door. A lot can be accomplished when no one cares who gets the credit, and I think that's huge. Stop being so egotistical that it's about me, because it's not about you. It's about us and as a group and that kind of stuff. And so be a leader that doesn't talk about themselves. When you get a chance to be on an interview you just scored 5 touchdowns and that kind of stuff, you don't talk about your touchdowns. You talk about how the offensive line did a great job making those holes for you, that the quarterback put the ball right in the money, or receivers made great catches, or it's everybody else that allowed you to have success. And don't make it about yourself. Again, to me, a true leader acknowledges that they're doing things and they're going to do it the best of their ability. They're not perfect, but they have to make decisions at times. When they do, they don't apologize for making decisions that they feel is in the best interest of everybody. And to me, that's what a leader does. A leader looks and says, okay, you may have an opinion, and you may have an opinion, and you may have an opinion, and I've listened to your opinions, and now I make the decision. Now, 2 of you are not happy because I didn't go with your opinion, so now you say I don't listen to you. No, I listened, but I had a bigger picture of what needed to be done for everybody. And so I made the decision based on what I felt was important for everybody, because you gave me the power of being the leader. You put me in charge. Do the best you can. Be able to look in the mirror and said, I'm doing the best I can for everybody, and this is the decision that's best. The first thing that comes to mind is be genuine. Be who you are. Don't try to be somebody else you're not. Because if anybody can see through that, it's our kids. Immediately. Day one. Fake or truth. They can tell. And so be genuine. Learn from everybody else and then adapt it to who you are. Because the experience that this person has is awesome. So learn from it. But you're not that person. So don't try to teach like that. Or don't try to be like that. Be genuine. Admit that you're not perfect. Admit that you make mistakes. But you learn from them, and we get better. And we don't debate with kids. Don't ever get in a debate with a kid. Just say, hey, we can talk about that later, and keep going. Don't try to win the argument, because you can't win an argument with a 15 or 16-year-old because they don't have the knowledge or the ability, maturity to step back and say, there's another way to look at that. I think I've always tried to exhibit that I love them. And don't be afraid to say love, because I think that's important. And what is love? To me, love is caring about somebody else to the point you'll do anything you can for them so that they are successful. And I don't know how many people know this, but quite a few know it, but I write letters to players, probably 9 letters a year. The 3 months of football season, I'm not writing many letters to them and send out, but once they're done, so I'll write one for Christmas and the New Year's, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, and just reflecting on my life and what I hope they do in their life, trying to impart that wisdom of there's more important things in life than football. Family and God are the most important things in life. That's our first priority, is family and God. It always has to be, and if you stay with that, we'll be good. Your second most important thing as a student here is being a student, is your education, is doing your classes and doing what you're supposed to do to the best of your ability. As we grow up and we get out of here, then your second most important thing is your job, your work, that kind of stuff. Your third most important thing, I said, was football or the sports you're playing during that time. Well, later in life, your third most important thing can be the things you enjoy. So maybe it's golf, maybe it's going to athletic contests. But if golf became more important than your job, you're in trouble. Or if anything becomes more important than God and your family, then you're in huge trouble. And so hopefully that's a lesson learned throughout life. And when I've been here, that's kind of what I've done the entire time. And so I think it really helped the parents that were here who had heard what the program demonstrates and what the expectations are. So they were in agreement that this is great for our kids. And then, let's be honest, we've been successful and we've won a few more than we've lost, and that always helps too. Opportunities arose along the way, as you can imagine, to go to other schools, to get paid more money, to have less responsibility and have less responsibility but still get paid a good salary. The PERS, having that kind of stuff early in my life when I was offered different jobs at different high schools. I was never really interested in college. I didn't want to spend from 7 a.m. till midnight on football. That would just bore me to tears. And I wouldn't want to do that and stuff. And what's kept me here is, I guess, the belief that we're here for a purpose and challenging people to be better people. And I felt that was my whole career. That's probably what I did. It was interesting when we had a mass not too long ago, and I can't remember which one of our fathers said, Mark Twain said there's the two most important days of your life, when you're born and when you figure out why you're born. And I heard that at the mass. I'm sitting there and I'm reflecting on retiring and all that kind of stuff, but I found out a long time ago the reason I was born was to challenge young people to be better than they thought they could be. And at Jesuit, I was allowed to do that. I was allowed to do that in the counseling office. I was allowed to do that on the football field. In every different way I could do it was to let people know that they're loved, that we believe in them, and they can do more. They can be better. And each day trying to be a better person is what it's all about. And at Jesuit, I was allowed to do that. I felt this was a calling, and very honored to be able to be here this long is incredible.